Before I explain to you why I think the Pelicans need to do everything in their power to trade Zion Williamson as quickly as possible, let me acknowledge a few things about Zion so far in his career. At this point, nobody is scoring as well as he is at how young he is. In fact, the only player who's close to him in terms of points per game is RJ Barrett. Right now, Zion Williamson is 20th in the league in scoring, and RJ is 50th. So that just goes to show nobody is really doing what Zion Williamson is doing at as young of an age. And he's doing it on an incredible 60% from the field because of how just strong and athletic he is and how easy he gets those dunks. And the way that Zion plays, it kind of reminds me, and this might be a comparison that maybe you haven't thought of, but actually, like thinking about it, this is a comparison that you might be surprised you haven't thought of before. But that's Shaquille O'Neal. And the specific example I'm going to use is the 1999/2000 version of Shaquille O'Neal that ended up winning the Los Angeles Lakers a title and winning him the MVP award. For the New Orleans Pelicans, Zion Williamson attempts about 97% of his 16 shots a game within 10 feet of the rim. And when you compare that to Shaquille O'Neal in that 99-2000 season where he won the MVP and won the ring for the Lakers, he shot about 90% of his attempts from within 10 feet of the rim. Shaq shot an incredible 59% from the area, and Zion isn't too far behind him at 54%. So yes, in my opinion, I think Zion Williamson is basically playing like a shorter Shaq. And not only on a statistical level where he's getting the same shots around the same areas and shooting about the same percentages, he's using the same sort of physical gifts that Shaquille O'Neal had. Both of these guys had incredible size, strength, and agility for just how big they were, and they used them to their advantage. They either went through the guy that was trying to defend them, or they went over him, or sometimes they did both. So yes, both of these guys have the same capabilities and same assets on their side when it comes to their offensive ability. And pair that with the fact that they have a low free throw percentage and they are not going to be looked at all to shoot the three ball. They're pretty much playing the exact same sort of way that, I mean, they basically mirror each other on the court. However, in 1999, the way that Shaquille O'Neal ended up dominating on the court won him an MVP award, won him an NBA championship in his first year with the Lakers. And right now, Zion Williamson is looking at doing none of those. He's probably maybe going to be an all-star appearance this year. And I don't really even know if the Pelicans are going to make the playoffs. Right now, they have the sixth worst winning percentage in the entire NBA. And in the same sort of way that Shaquille O'Neal did throughout his career, I don't really think there's any way that Zion Williamson, just due to the fact that he has so much strength, like he's such a strong guy, there's really going to be no chance that he develops any touch from the free throw line and don't even think about the 3-point line. However, in both of these guys' cases, it doesn't really matter that they can't shoot the three or a free throw, because right now, in Zion's case and back then in Shaq's case, they were so dominant at what they were able to do that the fact that they couldn't do anything else, it almost evened out over their career. There are obvious differences between the game played today and played in 1999/2000. The average team in 1999 ended up making about 5 3-point attempts per game, whereas in the league today, that number sits at about 13. And it's just a stylistic difference in the game. Shaquille O'Neal played in an era in which the way he played was pretty much how every team played, where there was one major post in there being the main threat, and sometimes there would be kickouts. And with less 3-point attempts from their opponent, there was not really a need to try to search for any 3-point shots, which led to more touches for Shaq in the post and his touches being more efficient for his modern era. However, in Zion Williamson's case, when he's getting his post touches, we're pretty much comparing his post touches of maybe getting 2 points or getting 1 point at the free throw line compared to a team who's maybe getting 3 points from the 3-point line or possibly even 4 points if they get fouled. What I'm basically trying to say at the end of the day is Zion Williamson's playstyle, while it does mirror a player in NBA history who won an MVP and won a title like Shaquille O'Neal did in 1999 and 2000, the set of circumstances that were around Shaquille O'Neal during that year are way different than the circumstances around Zion Williamson right now. In Zion Williamson's case, he can't really be taking 16 shots just directly from the rim. There has to be occasionally a 3-point attempt, at least 2 or 3, to be considered a championship contending superstar. And right now, the way that Zion Williamson is playing, is not the same kind of way and not at the same efficiency that Shaquille O'Neal was playing at in 1999. And while some people might say that the reason why the Pelicans are sitting at that 5-8 record and are towards the bottom of the league in wins, some people might say it's the personnel around Zion Williamson. How can he really be at his most effectiveness or have the most effectiveness if he's surrounded by non-shooting players like, Steven Adams or Lonzo Ball or Eric Bledsoe or guys who aren't the best of shooters? Why wouldn't they just rather trade those guys and get better personnel back? If the New Orleans Pelicans try to trade with anybody, every single team is probably going to ask about Zion. And if they can't get Zion, they're not going to give the Pelicans very good assets. They're not going to give the Pelicans very good players because there's not really a reason to do a deal with the Pelicans other than to get Zion. And the reason that is because the Pelicans are going to be trading these guys for a reason. If they call somebody and say, hey, we want to trade you guys Lonzo Ball, or we want to, get a guy from you for Lonzo, the other team is going to be questioning why they're getting rid of Lonzo. Because, obviously, Lonzo Ball is going to be traded from his second team if he ends up getting traded. And his value is not going to be very highly touted around the league with other GMs. And for the New Orleans Pelicans, why Zion Williamson is by far not the best player on the team, that has to go to Brandon Ingram. Zion Williamson, I think, just off his social media hype, is by far a more known player than Brandon Ingram is. Brandon Ingram's an all-star. He's a very established player in the league. Everyone who watches the NBA knows who Brandon Ingram is. However, the difference between him and Zion is that any person who's picked up a basketball or has a basketball page followed on their Instagram or Twitter account knows exactly who Zion Williamson is, knows that he went to Duke, knows that he was the number 1 overall pick in the draft. The type of following that Zion Williamson has compared to Brandon Ingram is probably 10-1. So any GM is kind of going to be more looking to add someone like Zion just due to the hype that his team is going to get and the amount of fans that their team is going to get. And just to show how famous Zion Williamson has been as a basketball player, even before the NBA, when's the last time we saw footage of college prospects watching the NBA draft lottery before Zion Williamson? And have we really even seen that since? That's just the type of fame that Zion has, is everybody in the sports world wanted to see what his reaction was to whoever got the number 1 pick. So with that asset that's pretty much added on top of getting Zion Williamson, who's a 23-point-per-game scorer, the fact of the matter is that the best asset that the Pelicans have is Zion Williamson. And while he's a good asset for the team, he's not a good asset for the team on the court. He bogs down the offense. He's not, I don't really think, the best defender. I think he gets most of his defensive stops just off of his strength and agility. But, he's just not that skilled of a player. And even though he is still a good player on the court, he gets 23 points per game. With the certain players that they have, he's not really able to affect winning. And after the Pelicans just got done with an era with Anthony Davis where it seemed like he wasn't impacting the winning, these seasons are even worse with Zion because it seems like they're losing even more games than Anthony Davis did. And at least in Anthony Davis's case, there weren't really expectations for the Pelicans to win a lot of games. There weren't expectations for the Pelicans to make the playoffs. But with Zion, with guys like Brandon Ingram around him, guys like Josh Hart and JJ Redick and Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Lonzo Ball and Eric Bledsoe and Steven Adams, this team had expectations. This team had playoff hopes. This team hired Stan Van Gundy to get them to the playoffs. And not only is it not working, it's looking like it's crashing and burning. With all of that being said, that's going to be the video for me. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like. If you're a Pelicans fan or a Zion fan, you probably think I'm very wrong. But let me know with a dislike. Any feedback from you all at this point is much appreciated. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe and comment down below. I try to get back to all the comments as possible. If you're one of my returning subscribers, I appreciate you so much. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace.